Oh, oh my goodness. And welcome to another episode of your favorite show on a Tuesday, y'all. That is Home Bars Live. Again, we are in our 6th month, and it just blows me away to think that we've been doing it this long and we're going to keep pushing strong. But I got a real special episode today because this is the first time we are going to actually have a home bar live, as we are going to be welcoming in a guest that's actually working and has been back in the field. So it's going to be good to kind of like get how it's looking out there in the jungles of the bar realm. And then we have another wonderful human who his name is not Trash Can, but he is definitely a person that knows his way around trash, but is also an amazing bartender, and that's Dan Miranda. So without further ado, we're going to get this king started off with my man Joe P. Hey Joe, man, how you doing?
What's up, fam? How are you?
I'm
How's things going?
I'm good.
And I love listening to your intro song.
I'm good, brother. Just hanging out here with a little Widow Jane decadence in my glass. So there we go. Now we got you.
There we go.
So,
you got it.
so now you are the first guest that has ever actually been off it. You just fresh off a shift, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
right?
I just walked off a shift to humbly and gratefully be on this show with you, and we spoke briefly last night, and you wanted me to share a little bit of my experience of still working during the whole pandemic with COVID, and I would love to share with you that experience that I've been having for the past few months.
Awesome. So, well, before we get started, let's tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you got going, what you got in the car, and then we'll roll into the work side of things.
Oh man. Okay. So my name is Joe Pereira. I've been in food and beverage for next spring will make 31 years. That I've in some facet or form of hospitality, all front of the house, except for my first 2 jobs, which I was in back of the house washing dishes when I was in high school, making money to buy my own car and buy my own track bikes when I was an athlete 45 pounds ago. And my second job was my stepdad and my mom bought a fried chicken joint in Newport, Rhode Island, and I was frying chicken and working there for a couple of years before I went away to university. I went to college at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, and that was my first time living outside of New England, and I'm from a very particular place in New England. Whenever I tell people I'm from Massachusetts, they automatically assume Boston, and I grew up 70 miles south of Boston, and I can tell you I don't know shit about Boston, other than I love the Boston Celtics and I love the Patriots. But I grew up right in between Providence, right on the border of Rhode Island and Mass. I grew up between Cape Cod and Providence, Rhode Island. So I'm pretty much a Southern Massachusetts kid, which is a whole different world from the rest of New England. What else do y'all need to know about me? I just left work and working during the pandemic so the whole country in terms of hospitality and the service and bartending industry, we pretty much got all our pink slips back in March. Here in Southern New England, we all went back to work middle of June, end of June. So July, August, and September is how long we've been actually, picking up shifts and working like behind the bar or service well, because most of the jobs and how the standards and criteria from the health department of the state of Massachusetts for the time that I've been here has determined that service well and not working in front of guests. But that all changed as of late, in which now Massachusetts has relaxed the standards of and the protocol of the health standards within the hospitality industry. As long as you have a barricade in front of the bar, as long as you have a barricade in front of service well, as long as guests are not sitting directly in front of the bar, but you can put a table by the bar and the guests will be sitting away from the bar, sitting face forward towards the bar, etc. So that's been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's not the bartending that I have come to know, but it's still service, it's still hospitality, it's still trying to find a way that, even though in these times of most uncertainty, how do we make people feel a particular way that they're happier than when they showed up in front of your bar? So that's the thing that I've been trying to focus in on more so than anything else. An old fashioned is an old fashioned, and it'll always be an old fashioned. A margarita is a margarita. Yes, quality of ingredients, things like that matter, but it's how I make it and how I serve it that I think separates what we were doing before and what we do now.
So what, first and foremost, for the people that don't know you, I want to say that, we met and hit it off like, Super Mario Brothers and Nintendo, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you've always been a role model in a lot of ways, and someone that was always like a big brother, and like, could reach out to you, talk to you, ask you any questions, and you were always real about it. You didn't pull punches, you didn't give, you weren't soft in the middle about it. You would let someone know what they needed to hear. And to kind of hear you talk about how, a cocktail is a cocktail, but it's about who's giving them the cocktail and who's serving them the cocktail that means something, I think says a lot about you. And I wanted to ask you, do you feel kind of like that, just that old school, just legitimate hospitality to where you're looking someone in the eye like, I'm happy you're here? Are you hoping that makes more of a comeback? Because I think we would both say it's some of that's kind of lost its way a little bit throughout the years.
Sure. Before we go further, I have a quote that I live by when it comes time for whether I'm serving a table, serving a guest at the door, being a maitre d', or being an ambassador behind the bar and tending bar. Mo, I think that it goes without being said that we've just hit it off, and I just really appreciate the friendship that has come with ease that we really don't have to work at. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm really grateful for the time that we've listened to each other or just been in the same room. Because I remember there was a time in New Orleans we were just hanging out and I was just watching you from across the way, just being in your moment. And I was just like, this is what it's all about. Let that man, let that brother, let that spirit be the freedom that he wants. And sometimes, a lot of times, you don't have to be myself, the center of attention all day. Just step back, and one of my favorite things to do is just to watch people be who they are. It's a pretty special and pretty wonderful feeling. And it was down in New Orleans at Tales of the Cocktail. I was just like, I have videos of you. I just kept it. Sometime down the line in our lives, I'll send it to you, or we'll sit there and be like, hey, remember this?
Word.
But to talk about hospitality and how I feel, I understand. The 9-ingredient cocktails, all these techniques, they all have their place, and they're all important. And all these beautiful garnishments and all of the things that people do within this industry to find they're all valid, and they're all important. They're not me. I think the people who I've been endeared to, who I call role models, like Julio Cabrera, like Mike Finnerty in Washington, D.C., at Old Ebbitt Grill. There's a legion of bartenders and bar men and women, who I'm much more appealed and intrigued and attracted to people in terms of like, I could care less about the drink, because I'm probably going to drink a gin and tonic, which I love, or a vodka grapefruit, or a pisco sour that's pretty much as fancy as I can get. But I go to bars that make me feel a certain way. I go to bartenders. I don't go to a bar for a specific cocktail. And it leads me to this quote that I learned in Las Vegas, which is still my home base. I came here to take care of my family stuff in Massachusetts, where I'm from, uh, and I'll be returning to Vegas. But long story short, a really phenomenal barman that I really respect and admire said, quote, "A cocktail is a mere garnishment to a guest experience." And I've never forgotten that. And because if you're this bartender who makes people feel differently or inadequate because he or she doesn't know what rye is, or doesn't know that vermouth is really hot right in terms of like what the new spirit is, makes that guest feel diminished in some particular way, then I believe you failed at your job. You failed at making understand that people are coming to for entertainment, for joy, for pleasure, or they're leaving a situation that they just needed to get away from. The passing of a family member, the announcement of a marriage, or the birth of a child, or the trauma of whatever it is that they're experiencing in their life. Like they just found out their mother or their father was diagnosed with prostate or breast cancer, right? So for me, it's just reading the cues and reading the body language and looking at somebody in the eye and just trying to make that special. That's mixology to me. And that's what I find more important than anything else. The past few years, everybody's talking about hospitality now and service. Why are we talking about that when that should always be rule number one?
Mm-hmm.
I you know, it's like, oh yeah, hospitality first. Like, is that clearly a subject matter that we need to talk about right now? Because
Yeah.
if we do, then what were we doing before?
Well,
You know?
I mean, I
So
think it's also too. It's one of those things that, having someone like yourself that looks at it that way, to put things into perspective. Because when I've been in the game roughly 10 years, 11 years, I want to say, like behind the bar roughly like 10. And like I
sure.
didn't know how to make a vodka soda. And when I came in, like the cocktail scene, especially out here in California, was really starting to kick back off as far as craft cocktails and all that. So I've kind of been ushered in with that wave, and I can tell you, it's definitely changed. It's changed quite a bit. Some of the things that I learned at like a club bartending, because I didn't know what I was doing, and coming from
Yep.
bar guy outside, I was always like, hey, hey, how's it going? To where I found myself having those days of like, someone would come in and I had looked at them like, you don't know what you want, and now, with you saying, I'm thinking to myself, damn, now I caught myself and tried to bring it back, but who knows what my initial reaction to that person left in their head? Who knows that even though we might have had a 20-minute conversation afterwards, that initial interaction was something that they won't forget. So I'm definitely gonna try to remind myself of that, as I keep walking through life, because I think that's not just a cocktail or a bar metaphor, but something you can also use in life as well too. But I wanted to ask you, so when you're at home, not in the car, not working, what's Joe P at what's Joe P sipping on at the house?
I in the past couple of years, I have become exceptionally fond of Rittenhouse Rye and ginger ale, and then I've been and then that started my whole rye thing. And then I started working for a brand here in New England um, called Mad River. And Mad River is based out of Warren, Vermont. And it's owned by a woman who went to Brown University. And the president of operations is another woman who went to Brown University. And I met them through a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Pogosh and another person, a guy named Vito Lance, old school New York City bartenders. And they said they needed help here in the southern part of Massachusetts getting this brand out there so people can understand what rye and what rum is, and the incredible history that rum has here in New England. But as the whole Rittenhouse rye and ginger ale that I've been drinking, I get turned on to this Revolution rye. Mind blown. This small little operation in Warren, Vermont, by these two women are putting out some of the dopest rye that I've tasted from all over the country. And that's when I started helping out for the brand. But when I'm home, to be honest with you, if I'm not doing rye and ginger ale, I'm doing gin and tonics. And if I'm not doing gin and tonics and I want to really make a classic cocktail, my absolute favorite classic cocktail, I love Pisco sours. I think they are absolutely dope on so many levels. The sour, the froth, and Pisco is one of my favorite spirits. And I particularly enjoy La Diablada Pisco. And I love it so much. And I got turned on to Pisco many years ago when I was bartending in Washington, D.C. And I was actually a bartender with Mary Kelly at this place called Del Campos. And I don't know how this drink came about, but I made this drink for Mary Kelly, and it was made with Pisco and chicha morada, which is a purple corn, and egg white and Pisco, and her mind was blown. I think the last time we really talked about it, she still thinks it's one of the best cocktails she's ever made, and I was just like, me? But yeah, I'm on a big Ryan Ginger kick right now. That's all I got.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So yeah, you have to make me one of them drinks one of these days. I definitely want to try one of your world famous super drinks now.
Listen, and I told you, and I know I'm contradicting myself because of what I said before, that I really don't sweat drinks. Give me a menu, give me the list of ingredients. I'll study the menu. I'll make the cocktails which you want. But that's not the emphasis for me in bartending. I don't think about cocktails like that. But if I'm working a new job, or like even when I was at Herbs and Rye, we had 50 cocktails on the menu list, and we had cheat sheets and things like that. Okay, just give me the recipe book. Okay, boom, boom, boom. This is what I got to do. Fine, that's it. I worked more in the hospitality, the promoting of someone being in that restaurant, making them feel a particular way. I don't know. I just, hey, I work at this bar, XYZ. I want you to come here and experience this. When I really believe in something, I become a soapbox, and that's been, whether it's making you feel good or making somebody else feel good, or just promoting the city that I live in or the town that I'm from. That's that. I don't know what much else to say about that.
Right. Well, Mary says that's still her favorite cocktail to date. She's actually she's watching, so she says that is still her favorite.
Oh, is she watching?
So you still have that
Mary?
title.
Oh man, listen, it's a good one. It's a great one. It's all we got to do, like Mo, next time we're together, and it's you, myself, and Mary, we're together. All we got to do is just find this purple corn. I was actually introduced to it by this amazing bartender, this barman who actually lives in Central America now. His name is JP Caceres, and I met him in Washington D.C. and he introduced me to Chicha Morada. And then I, at the same time, I met Melanie Asher, who's the owner of La Diablada Pisco, and boom, it just happened. But what else am I drinking right now that man, and I, you got some really great booze on your portfolio as well. Bren, I'm a huge fan of. When I was bar manager at Herbs, it was brought to us, and we, of course, we didn't put it on our menu because we didn't, at that time, we didn't focus on any brands on the menu, but we focused more brands on the back bar. And Bren became, when I was there, an industry favorite, and we would make bartender choice cocktails. Whatever that we felt inspired to make, we would call on that. I'm a big fan of gin. It's another favorite of mine in terms of spirits. And Blue Coat has been something that I've been actually very fond of as well. And I just like the story of Blue Coat. I like the fact that it's from the East Coast. I like the fact that it's from Philadelphia. And I like the history that's tied into Blue Coat, because if you know anything about me, you know that I love politics and I love history and I love to talk about it, because they're just incredible stories, if anything, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, or uh, uh, anything that's in between. I think the stories that go beyond um, the parameters of what you identify with politically. You have to understand that in this republic and within our democracy, we have all of this quote unquote freedom to identify with what we want to do is with that, and to celebrate that is quite important, because there's other parts of the world that just don't have that opportunity to do so.
That's right.
And what does that mean for liquor, right? What does it mean for liquor? It's been with us since day one, since the formation and the founding of this country. And, you know, I mean, oh, excuse the French. I mean, the Declaration of Independence was signed, and all those drinkers were drinking Madeira wine as a toast to the birth of this country. So booze has always been with us, and I think that instead of talking about how shit-faced and how partying and all those things that we talk about when it comes to drinking, if you were to really understand and embrace the historical significance that booze. I mean, NASCAR started with rum running and bootlegging and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we could go on and on and on and on about that. And so when you sit down and you talk to people or guests come in, again, I don't stress about the cocktails, but I do love to talk about the history of the spirit.
That's awesome.
You know, so blah, 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 blah.
Nah, so, so one, we already kind of have a gold mine, because Mary says that she has the recipe for yes, she has it. Yes. And Pogash says, "What's up, man?" He appreciates the shout out. So,
oh man, that's my dude, Pogash. Let me tell you something. People need to know Pogash. He's looked out for me 6 ways from Sunday. I don't tell him enough, but I'll tell everybody right here, right now. That's my dude. I love that guy. Go on.
Word. So, question for you. Now, you're throwing a concert, right? You get to pick 3 acts. You got your opener, mid, closer. Now, here are the parameters. Anyone you want it to be. Living, dead, they could come from Mars. I don't care. You get 3.
Oh, you put me on the spot. I got to make this. Okay. My opener, anyone that I wanted it to be. My opener, anyone, living or dead. My opener is going to be Houdini. It's going to be Houdini. And then you said my middle?
Yeah.
Jamiroquai, hands down. We're going to go from Houdini to Jamiroquai. And then my closer, who's going to be my closer? You know what? Gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be my closer?
Who's going to turn out the lights for us? They come after Houdini and Jamiroquai, so they got to bring some heat.
Oh man, fuck. Who? You know what? But just because they're one of my favorite bands, and I just love the place. I'm gonna go with Led Zeppelin. I'm gonna go with Led Zeppelin. I'm gonna go with Led Zeppelin because I think after what Jamiroquai will do in terms of raising us out, I think Led Zeppelin would bring in a dichotomy of music where they bring in blues, and of course, rock and roll is birthed from blues and from old Negro spirituals, and Led Zeppelin, clearly without a doubt, and they've always admitted this, gospel, blues, rock and roll. Led Zeppelin would just take us to another place. And by that time, I'd be like halfway under the building on the sauce. And that's it.
Well, that definitely sounds like a concert that I'm going to. So, all right. So you got your concert. Now, you got your own bar. What's the name of it? And what's the ambiance like?
Okay. The name of the bar is going to be The Last Cast. And The Last Cast is going to be a bar that is going to give you. You ever watch the movie Jaws?
Oh yeah.
The original one,
Oh yeah.
right? Right? And Quint is the captain, right? And Quint is drinking Narragansetts, and you crush it like Quint, because whenever Quint was doing something where he would get mad or there would be fish on, right? Quint would just like crush his can of Narragansett and throw it down and go back to fishing and stuff. So my bar would be called The Last Cast, and it would be the galley. It would resemble the galley of a fishing boat, of a big, large shark fishing boat. And we'd get that boat rocking. I mean, it's like, you know, you've been out on the day of the beach, you've been out on the day of the water, you've been out for the whole day fishing, you've been out doing something, just living your life and just connecting with the world and in the levels and being with your friends. Like I said, I would want my vibe of the bar to deliver feelings more so than anything else, and to have a great time, especially since the last 6 months we haven't been able to congregate the way that we usually have, with the hugs and the high fives and the meat sweats.
Yeah, that's real.
So for me, it's The Last Cast, because, you know, it's like when you're out here fishing, and I've been spending, you know, time here during this COVID, pretty much being by myself, mostly out here fishing and picking up something that I used to do many, many years ago as a young man. And now that I'm older, realizing that, you know, being outside, um, you know, experiencing life beyond the restaurant, and all of the amazing late nights that I've had, whether I was living in New York City or Washington, D.C. or Las Vegas, or the time that I lived in Oakland or Fort Lauderdale. You know, I've transitioned my life, and it's kind of crazy. And I know that I'm going to say this because I'm going to say this in terms of how people have lost many lives, many family members during this whole 6 months of the 300 people plus thousand that have passed. But for me, COVID has been a blessing in disguise, in the sense that now I've had time to slow my life down, to think about me instead of the chase, you know, because we all were on a chase in terms of this bar, this brand, I'm going here, I'm traveling there, I'm going this, all revolving around. And that's why you know, there was a part of me that held back for so long, and that, hey man, it's hospitality, it's the feeling, it's the people, it's the camaraderie. That was way more important to me than, you know, trying to learn something about some throwing technique, or, you know, what the next, you know, dope spirit has been. And so what COVID has done for me is, I couldn't go to bars anymore, couldn't go to restaurants anymore. There were no late night drinking, all of the things that happened. So one day I got up, and I was cleaning, you know, my old room, and I saw my old man, my stepdad's fishing poles, and I was just like, oh shit, let me go fishing. And then that's it. So I really thank this time for that, to reconnect with myself, and to reconnect with something that has made me so happy. And I hope that during this time, that it has also not just benefited me, but it also benefited people in our community, to think of other things in their lives other than, you know, uh, you know, chasing an award or chasing notoriety. Like, what are some other things? You know, somebody once told me, if all you know is bartending, then you don't know bartending at all. What else do you bring behind that bar? What else do you bring when you're standing in front of that table taking orders and talking to, like, how do you relate? Like, what experiences can I share with you, Mo, that I've really come to enjoy in my life? I love to read books. I love history. I love art. I love dancing. I love fishing. You know, like who are you? Like, who am I? And to let it, and this is not a knock on, I'm not me, because I'm really grateful for all of the things this community has given me. but I'm also really grateful for this time that it's given me to just pull back in and just bring the balance in my life.
You know, and I think hopefully, you know, I mean, I can tell you, I feel the same way in a lot of ways, you know, and it is hard. It has been hard, but you know, hopefully, you know, people can take this opportunity and look at it for whatever it is and try to find that piece of themselves that they do work on. So, you know, I had posted something on my social media, like, you know, hopefully right now we're all in caterpillar stages right now. And when this is all over, we come out as butterflies, because if I feel if you don't spend this time in some form of fashion working on yourself in some way, then you'll never really come out of this funk, because it's real heavy
Yeah.
right now. And we have to work to be better, because if this ever happens again, or we see these things again, then hopefully we'll be able to stand up and be stronger. And, you know, this won't happen. But you know, I want to say first and foremost, brother, thank you for joining us. If you don't have to go anywhere, stay tuned. I'm going to be bringing my man Dan in. We're going to wrap with him. Then after we wrap with him, we'll bring everyone back in for a little bit of a wrap up. So, Joe, you are an amazing human, brother. I love you so much, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mo, the feeling is mutual, and I do actually care about you and your well-being, as I do many other people. And thank you for this opportunity where people can get to know me beyond the social media aspect of you know, posts and things like that, because there is a real world out there. And in closing, on my part, let's just get out there as best as we can, as safe as we can, as together as we can, to experience it and share those wonderful experiences about our lives. Because all of this madness, this all will come to an end, and we just need to get to the other side.
That's real. That's real. That's real. So I can't say it actually any better. I was gonna try to like walk out with you on that, but I'm gonna just let you just drop the mic on that one. So thank you, brother, and stay tuned. Please don't go anywhere. But without further ado, I'm gonna be moving on to my man Dan Miranda, who is hanging out in the lovely Oakland, California. Dan, man, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a little warm here, like Bay Area warm, but I mean, you know what I mean? It's hot.
Well, technically, it is. I can see how hot it is from, because I'm over by the water. You a little bit more inland, you know.
Well, lucky you. I mean, you get all that good water. You get all that good water stuff. I got to sit in the busted ass like smog bay stuff, but I mean, it's tight out here. I love it here. But 32 years of this stuff, so it's like, yeah.
Well, first and foremost, you got some amazing posters behind you. That Dawn of the Dead poster is fire. But
that's actually original. That's that back pink wash that they have on the back. They didn't make those. They only made a certain amount of those. So that's an original poster.
Oh, I'm gonna have to come to your house and take that. Sweet, thanks, brother. It's good to know.
There's a lot of stuff in here that there's a lot of like weird crap in here that is takeable from something, but you can't come in over here.
So first and foremost, this is Home Bars Live. So I'll let you. We'll do the whole little introduction of yourself and all that in a second. But let's check out the home bar, Daddy.
Cool. I mean, let me try if I bring it up here. So I like to lie to myself and put my bar like above so I don't reach for it, but that's a lie. But so this is some of the stuff I have. Like I'm a big we'll go into where I've worked before. I'm a big whiskey person, so I drink most of it. But here's just some of the stuff I have. I love this stuff right here. I'm a big fan of White Dog. I don't know why. Some mezcal, some kind of stuff. And then I pulled down some of my favorite stuff right here. Like some good Taiwanese whiskey. Westland is like I'm the official, unofficial rep for Westland out here. Like anytime Carla wants an event, I'm the first one to pop up and do something. It's my favorite Seattle whiskey. Compass Box is like one of my favorite companies, John Glazer. I just can do no wrong. I got this good stuff. When I drink gin and tonics and I'm feeling fancy, this is a 1970s Gordon's that Kevin Dowell actually gave to me as a gift.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's already like down to there, so I need to like calm the fuck down. So, and then just be like, if I'm just feeling, if it's hot, which I'm probably about to have one after I go work out, it's I got
that slow gin is fire.
Slow gin and soda, just call it
Yeah.
a day. Maybe add a little gin to it, like a little bump up. Just to, refreshing, just awesome. That any kind of like low ABV kind of and soda, Aperol and soda, vermouth and soda. I don't know. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like to drink. I know actually normally didn't really drink at home before I moved. I was living by myself, and then I was always never home, so I was working. So when I moved, now I live with people, and now I kind of drink more at home. You can imagine how frustrating it was to move like hella bottles from one house to another because they were all full. So I never drank any of them. But I mean, yeah, that's the kind of stuff I drink.
Well, now it seems like you're getting some help with getting through those bottles, so I think you're doing okay with the weight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I noticed you had a couple of empty ones up there. You had a private stock bottle up there. You want to grab that? Which private stock did you have up there?
Of which one? The Maker's Mark?
Yeah, grab that one.
Oh, it's not empty. It's full. Actually, this one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got this. Christina Lazarus gave this to me as a gift for doing an event for Oakland Cocktail Week. I did like a Maker's Mark cocktail I work at a beer garden in downtown Oakland. And every private select day, everyone, you get to pick a barrel. This is like a mash of different ones. This is Maker's 46, and they put in a French Cuvée cask and then some French roasted mocha. I don't even know what that means, but this is for hand selected for the Brixton. So the last time I had one of these, we did an event at a bar I kind of still work at. I don't know. It's called Acme. We'll get into that later. They did an event there. We have there's a really well-known liquor store in the East Bay called Ledger's Liquor, and they had their private select there, release party there, and it was this big old hoot. Actually, was so good that one of my regulars at Acme, I turned him on to whiskey because just through that select, and he's all about gin and all that stuff. So I was like, just try it and see how you feel about it. And he's like, this is delicious. I was like, I mean, don't if you like it, you're on a good track. So yeah.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you're currently doing right now besides talking to me.
So hi, my name's Dan.
You have a last name?
Dan Miranda, and I am born and raised in Oakland. I'm currently living in Oakland. I've been in the hospitality and the food and beverage industry for 16 years. So that's half my life. I obviously started out in the kitchen first because I was underage. Well, actually, that's not true. I started bartending when I was 18, but that's. I mean, I started as a line cook, and I went from line cook for a good amount of time, and then became a bar back, and then a nightclub bartender almost overnight. Like I was a bar back for about like 4 months, 5 months. Because they just like a nightclub out here in Oakland, and they just noticed right away my hustle. So that's where I get, like line cooking, and then nightclub is where I got all that hustle and personality from. And then let's see, and I've done some stuff in between that. Like the running joke is that I've the only job I haven't done is like open heart surgery. Like I mean, a lot of my friends be like, I mean, I've done like stage work. I've like toured with bands. I was in a band. I tattooed for a little bit. I was a working artist for a while, which didn't pay anything. But yeah, I mean, right now, what am I doing? Well, because of unfortunately, it took a pandemic to do it, but I've been starting to get more into my personal health. So I'm like, I started my one non-bar job in the past probably 10 years. I work at a gym now, so I'm gonna go do that later. I've been like just working on like yoga, just trying to get. This break of service that we have has got me to the point of like, I mean, at first I was super bummed out like everyone else was. So I kind of just wallowed and did a bunch of, self-pity kind of thing, at least on my end. And then I started like thinking like, you know what, screw this. Like, this is ridiculous. Like you used to do this all the time back in the day with getting healthy and doing all that stuff. So let's just start it over again. So that's kind of what I've been up doing. Like, I mean, I ended up getting unemployment, so I actually spent all that money on like actual healthy stuff. I spent like $500 on like yoga stuff, massage guns, yoga equipment, like just like rollers and things like that, and like new workout equipment. So I've been like, that's when I've been trying to do that, is just trying to stay as healthy as possible, because it's so easy to sink into like, me, I like live and die by the Taco Bell. That's like,
yeah.
And
well,
so
I
like
mean,
I've actually haven't eaten that stuff in like 8 months, and it's like it feels great. Like I mean, don't get me wrong, I still like drink and eat copious amounts of ice cream, but you know, it's like I've been spending a lot of my time just trying to get that health aspect back into my life, and
well,
biking a lot. I bike a lot, so
I
that's
think
cool.
one of the cool things though is that kind of what you were saying and what Joe was saying too is that the combination of seeing that we could take this time to do one or two things. We could take this time to get down and allow ourselves to fall in that depression, you
Yeah,
know, and as people of color, I think we already live in that realm as it
absolutely.
is. You know, that's we're born in that water without even knowing it. You know, so
Mm,
we've been swimming those waves for a long time.
absolutely.
So I always love to hear that, you know, anyone, but in particular people of color that are saying, you know, I see how hard times are, but I'm going to try to come out of this a better person and work on
Yeah,
myself because that's all we really can do. We're not really promised anything as far as employment, tomorrow,
yeah.
anything. But, you know, while we're here, hopefully, you know, we can change that narrative that maybe we've been living by. So that's super
I mean,
dope to hear.
absolutely. And it's like, and it got a little hard. Like, I mean, they started understanding later on. Like, I had to get a little frank with people, but like, even during this time, I've had a couple of friends who are like, "Come hang out, come do this." I was like, "No, dude. Like, I got some, like, don't get me wrong. There's been certain times where, you know, I went out and got, you know, had some drinks, you know, and then like started to cycle over again. But like, I like letting people understand that, like, no, this is my time to like focus on myself. And then it kind of made me feel bad for a bit. Like, and I was like, you know what? That's not how you should be feeling. Like, you're trying to better yourself. Let them. They'll come around. If they're your friends, they'll come around. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, you know, so it's like, so, and then luckily they all have. So it's like they started to realize where it's like, you know, this betterment of like, because when I'm not in that space, I'm not a nice person. You know, I'm cranky. My body doesn't feel right, so I'm cranky. So it's like, and that doesn't even before COVID, if I'm during service, that would show. You know, like, and that's like just like, and I hate that. Like, no one likes that kind of
Yeah.
hospitality for me. You know what I mean?
So I had Ed on a couple of weeks ago, and
Okay.
and I mentioned you in that episode. You and Ed are the only two people that I know that I have never seen sweat. I've seen you
I'm actually
sweat
sweating right now. Like, I'm
once.
like a little bit.
That's crazy. That's the see because
Well, I'm nervous.
okay.
That's why.
It's see okay. I'll see now. I know how to get you, make you nervous.
I
So I just wanted to ask, as someone that sweats profusely, um, what genetic makeup is
so
allowing this to take
so here's
place?
the thing.
Because
Ed is Asian. I'm half Asian. So my dad, what he does now, he's he's the regional something for the south of the west coast of like SBC, AT&T. But before that, when I was a kid, he used to like climb the telephone poles, go underneath houses. He'd come home smelling like nothing, not dirty, not sweaty. Like so I'm assuming I get it from him. Because he doesn't sweat, he doesn't do nothing. He's Filipino. I think it's an Asian thing, honestly. I could be wrong. But
I mean, man, we've literally been in humid, hot, 100-degree weather with 100% humidity, and I
carrying
look
around
like
trash.
I'm taking a shower in my clothes, and I look over, and you just dry as a bone.
Also, Tony DiVincenzi doesn't sweat either. He was doing some stuff. Tony.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Okay, I
he's
guess
white,
it's just
so,
me with the bad sweat gene. I need to get that
yeah,
checked. So
Niagara Falls.
enough talking about our bodily fluids. I wanted to ask you. So you know you've worn a lot of different hats. You've done a lot of different things. You know, I mean, from being like a tattoo artist. Let's talk about that a little bit. What was like your favorite tattoo story that you can tell? And your craziest tattoo story that you can tell, keeping in mind that just people probably listening.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I tattooed for a short period of time. I only tattooed for about a year, and I got out of it because like in the tattoo world, it kind of takes a long time to get to like. First of all, it takes a lot of practice, obviously, but like your apprenticeship alone takes a year, and that's and then it's very clubby. sometimes even like bartending can be like that too. Like you just can't get, like you can't get to a certain echelon of until you've done enough or you do the right things or meet the right people kind of thing. So like, and I just couldn't wait that long. I need to make money. I was like married at the time. So like we need to make money fast because we were just, when you're apprenticing and you're pretty much asking people to come in and tattoo them for free and seeing what the guy can do. Like if telling the guy who owns the shop that this is what I can do. And if you get tipped, that's awesome. Usually the people that are getting tattooed are your friends who are broke as fuck to get a tattoo. So they ain't tipping you. Yeah. So, I mean, the craziest story, nothing too crazy while I was tattooing, but I will tell like one of my most impactful stories was my guy that I used to get all my tattoos from, his wife had passed away that day. I was supposed to get my neck done. And it was a rough day. Like I remember like walking to his tattoo shop because he wasn't answering his phone. And then when he finally messaged me, I like kind of collapsed in the middle of the street, like, cause we're all best friends. Like we used to hang out each other like every weekend. Yeah. And then something in my eyes, I still want to get this neck tattoo. It's a memorial for my dog that passed away. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the sister shop that they have in Oakland called Temple, or Tattoo 13, sorry. And so what kind of cheered me up, because it was like the funniest thing that happened while I was getting my neck tattooed, which oddly enough doesn't hurt. But there was a guy getting tattooed next to me, and he was the tattoo artist, my buddy Hector. He was tattooing this dude, and he was like talking about this dude he wanted to get. I don't know if you know what script tattoo looks like. It's very wispy, kind of like, it can kind of get lost. Like if someone overdoes it, it can kind of get lost. And so he was talking about this dude who wanted to sound like some bro who wanted to get on the inside of his arm that said bulletproof. But I guess the tattoo artist, like this is some story from like years ago. I guess he added some weird wispy lines where the L's were or something like that, and it looked like it said butterproof. And so like, and so I'm here getting my neck tattooed, and then my buddy Sonny was like, dude, stop making my homeboy like laugh. And I was like, I'm cracking up. The tattoo actually goes up here, and there's actually a lot of jagged lines because I was cracking up. So luckily my beard covers it up. But and then he started going to another story about this earlier in the month. Some dude wanted to get another tattoo, some separate story, and he wanted to say homegrown, and like the E kind of did another like weird wispy. They didn't do it right, so it looked like it said homogrown. So I was like, and so I'm sitting there just cracking up. I'm like, what? Who are these tattoo artists that you're like letting tattoo you, dude? Like, it's fucking like, which one are these? So I don't have to go over there. Like, I mean, that's not as crazy. It's actually oddly enough. Oh, I did have one client get up and run out of like in the middle of a tattoo, get up and just book it, like jumped over the counter and just ran for it. Like she had spaced out or something like that, and but I wasn't tattooing her. My buddy was. So she was next to me, and she just like booked it, and she like ate a whole bunch of. She ate it, like getting out of the door. Like it was, and she didn't even realize she was doing it. She was such in a trance because tattooing affects people differently. I am tattooed everywhere, and I will tell you, it sucks. I hate it. It's the most annoying thing in the world, but it'll cause you to do some weird things if you're sitting in that chair.
So the neck didn't hurt, you said. How does getting a needle repeatedly jabbed into your neck not hurt?
Well, I will say this, because when you tattoo, you have to like kind of pull skin, like say like you have your pencil or your machine, and then you have to pull it so the ink gets in there. So now like if my tattoo's right here, he has to pull it up so it's actually against my jaw. So that hurt because it's rattling up against your jaw doing that. So that really hurt. Oddly enough, like the meatier parts, like your bicep, like up in there, that sucks. Like your calf and your butt cheeks, that is not fun. Your ribs. That will like, I haven't gotten them yet, but I've tattooed a lot of ribs. Not a lot, actually, just like a couple, like, I don't know. But like I've had to stop, which actually makes it suck more if you keep stopping, because then you have to go back into that hell, and then just like, it's not fun. But yeah. I'm actually designing a tattoo for Tony. The surprise will come later, but I'm not tattooing it, but I'm designing something a little small. So
yeah, I'm someone that always, I don't have any tattoos, not opposed to tattoos. Funny story, I was actually going to get a tattoo at Tails one year. And I remember that I'm in the quarter, I'm going with the whole group, we're about to get tattoos. Like an idiot, I posted this on Facebook. Like, oh, I'm thinking I'm getting my first tattoo today. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It was on social media for maybe 3 minutes.
Your mom
sitting there eating a taco, and I get my mom. I'm from Maurice, and looks at my mom. I'm like, oh, okay. hey, Ma, where are you at? You better not be getting no tattoo. And I was like, I'm eating a taco. She was like, you better be eating a taco. And you better not come home with no ink on you. I was like, well, guys, I can't go. I can't go with you guys anymore. Just tell me
My
about
mom
it.
go beat me.
Just tell me about it. I can't go.
Well, that's the funny thing about moms, though, is because after a while, my mom just gave up. Like, then she started getting tattooed later on in her life, too. Like, she has a couple now, but, like, I tattooed my leg when I was 15. And I hid it from her for a while. But it got to the point when I got my neck done, I asked her, like, Mom, what do you think? She's like, what? She's like, my neck. I got my neck tattooed. She's like, that hasn't always been there? I was like, Mom, you're my mom. You're supposed to know this, like, these things. It's like, no, like, I see you at least a couple times a month. Like, you should know that I don't have my neck tattooed. So now it's getting to the point where, like, people's like, you just weren't born with those now? I'm like, yeah, I guess that works now.
Sweet. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just get a whole full body tattoo and just be like, Ma, see, I told you.
You made all this.
Yeah, I took a real long shower and it was underneath, I guess, or something like that.
Well, when I got my face tattooed, I finally got my face tattooed and I was drunk. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't regret it though, because it kind of hide my glasses, kind of hide it. But it's like, I still make fun of my mom because she's still like kind of butthurt about it. But I convinced her that I draw it on every day, and it just makes her feel better. Like, I don't know. It is funny though.
So I see that you got a couple of things that you're sipping on at home. So now that you've gotten back on your health kick, what are some of the things that you're looking to get out of it? Like, what are some of the changes that you're hoping to see as you are taking this health as wealth journey, so to speak?
Well, what the more, like, obviously, like, is to be healthier, but literally for the past, since I've been in this industry, my body's just been, because you're working 8 to 14 hours, like, pretending if you're behind the bar or in the kitchen, or if you like work at Bourbon Branch and work 12-hour shifts, those are fun. But like, your body is just so used to just doing that. And so, like, it got to the point where, like, my back body was so tight that I couldn't, like, it just felt like my torso was just floating around, you know, like, and my shoulders were like this, like it just was, like, just being comfortable in your own body. Not being comfortable in your own body is just terrible. It's a terrible feeling. Yeah. And it's like, makes you cranky, you know, like, you know, I mean, obviously our job is very physically demanding. So what I want to get out of this, like, if and when we get back to normal, is to, like, go back, like, you know, with a plan, or like have it already implemented and then have a plan. Like, because once I started doing all this, when I started bartending, mostly bartending, I started, it didn't stop. Like, I obviously the drinking got a hold of me, like, you know, the late nights drinking, and then you don't want to wake up and do anything. You got to go work the next day. I mean, just eating on the go, nothing healthy. So it's like, I want to be able to, like, one is, like, start creating my own time set where it's like, you know, I don't have to close the bar at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, I've worked long enough. I've done enough things in my career. It's like, I can make my own time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Saying, like, I can get off at 9 at the latest 10. I can get home and from there make the conscious decision to go home, drink a big old thing of water, eat healthy, and then wake up the next morning and then, like, do my thing, and then, like, not having to, like, feel like I missed out on anything, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean,
that's all I'm trying to achieve. It's just, like, being comfortable, like, because it's nothing, like, more uncomfortable than, like, having to work long shifts and then just, like, twitching and, like, being, like, I mean, it's still gonna happen. I've got, like, multiple injuries, but it's like former past injuries, but it's like,
no, that's real. It's one of the things that comes with, I think, wisdom, you know. I mean, and I think that's one of the things that, you know, for us that have been in the industry and that are lifers, you know, in a lot of ways, for those of us that have given our golden years, so to speak, to the hospitality industry, that we also are realizing too that there is something else outside of this that we're trying to get out of it, that is going to also help us live longer and be able to be in the business that much longer. Because, you know, I mean, I severely dislocated my wrist. Like, this left hand that I have here, that for those of you that are watching can see, this thing had shrunk an inch. I had 4 surgeries on it in like 2 months, and this was right as Bon Voyage was opening. Like I
Oh
thought I was
wow.
gonna have my wrist
Oh, I remember
fused.
that. I remember that
Yeah,
when you were.
they were gonna talk about fusing my wrist together to where I basically had a claw that I wouldn't be able to do anything but open and close, and I'd have to like turn my hand and my wrist would be this.
Your
So
rotator cuff, buddy.
yeah, so my career would have been, pretty much over. And for me, it was one of those things of like, what else can I do? What else can I, or what other roles can I maybe fall into if it turns out that this is the case? Unfortunately for me,
that's a rough one.
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I've been able to roll into the brand role that I'm in now, and doing this, which I absolutely love. But I think it goes into what you're saying about finding something and a greater purpose in what we're doing, because again, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to be doing this until we can't do this no more.
Yeah.
So
right.
It's about finding that balance and that common ground. So what I did want to ask you so I know you love music. I know you've maybe been to a concert or two in your life, maybe like one. So same thing I asked Joe, but you can only pick artists from the 80s. You only get the 80s. No other time frame but the 80s. And
that works out.
An opener. Oh, that works out. Oh, want to go back to the 50s then stop. You get the 80s. And an opener, mid, and a closer.
Okay, from the 80s. All right, that just removes one of mine, because luckily you asked him first, so I got to think about it. So that removes one of mine. So I can't do that. So let me think of an opener. Opener would probably have to be, shit.
That's not. Is that a band?
What is?
No, that's why. Is that a band?
No, it's not a band.
Oh, okay.
No. Oh, come on now. Let me look at my records real quick. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Let me look at my tapes. Let's see. Oh, actually, you know what? I would do. It's a weird little mashup, but the opener would be Heart. I love Heart. It's one of my favorite bands. And then the middle, the second leg would be Earth, Wind, and Fire. Ooh. And then the last one would be Michael Jackson. Right, 100% across the board. Right. My original was going to be Jamiroquai, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Michael Jackson, but you messed me up. So.
Well,
That'll be the curveballs.
Yeah. So, bro, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
This has been great getting a chance to talk to you, and hopefully people getting a chance to know you outside of things. I'm gonna bring Joe back in for a hot second so we can do a little wrap up together, and everyone can see all of our lovely faces. So Joe, if you're still hanging around, Daddy, how you chime back in with us, player? Joe's still there. So
yeah.
Brothers, I wanted to say, having a platform like this and having the luxury of knowing you individuals brings so much joy to my life, because I'm able to give people something that maybe they didn't have. That's a slice of Trash Can Dan and a slice of Joe P. And they're both really beautiful pieces of pie, I must say. So before we get out of here, is there anything you guys want to say on the way out? Dan, I'll let you go first.
Nothing but just stay positive. I mean, there's nothing, which is odd coming from me. I used to not be such a positive person, but like just this time and growing up has driven me to that. But just stay positive. I mean, we'll get through this one way or another. There's going to be some kind of outcome. So like, just stay positive and always look up and do what you love. I mean, that's about it.
Joe?
I've been wonderfully entertained listening to Dan, and Dan has reminded me of how dope Oakland is.
Yeah.
And I haven't met Dan yet, and I will. And
I'll show you around.
And I used to live there. I used to work at Jeffrey's Inner Circle on 14th and Broadway.
Oh, okay.
And that was in the 90s, mid 90s. It was a long time ago. And I used to work at another place called Jack London Square.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make with this is that for two people who grew up on opposite sides of the country, and I'll be 50 next week, to pull Jamiroquai as our group, I mean, I'm loving you already, brother. And you got your Judas Priest poster in the back.
That's my next tattoo, actually. It's Screaming for Vengeance.
Oh, you got a tattoo?
The entire thing right there.
So I am like, I'm all over you. I'm like, I will fuck with this. I will fuck with this dude. I will fuck with this dude 6 ways from Sunday, because one of the greatest things in my life is that I've come to embrace. You know, people want to call it ADD. These different thoughts and emotions and feelings and experiences that I've had in my life that I don't like to be pigeonholed as being like one thing. Yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I've made some mistakes. Yeah, I've had some great times and I've had some amazing successes. And I embrace all of them because they've come to make who you are. They've come to make who I am. And they've brought us in this moment together. And that's all I can fucking got to say about that.
That's real. So, you know, again, guys, thank you so much. And for those of you at home that have tuned in for us, this has been another episode of Home Bars Live. I'm your host, Maurice Brooks, my man Joe P. and Dan Miranda. We have taken you to so many places and brought you right back home, baby. So, same time, same channel, next place. We'll be right here. Tune on in to your favorite show on a Tuesday.